Amid the infinite cold of space, a deafening roar shattered the silence. Colossal human dreadnoughts burst forth from hidden orbits, their engines igniting like titanic suns. Admiral Adrian Blackwell's heart pounded with a storm of vengeance and hope as beams of raw power illuminated the void, each pulse a defiant claim to a destiny long denied. The Empire's invincible facade trembled under the weight of humanity's reawakened fury, and in that explosive moment, the future of the galaxy was forever rewritten. On a barren frontier world at the Empire's edge, beneath a bruised twilight sky, secret installations hummed with clandestine activity. Deep in an underground hangar, Captain Blackwell paced along a corridor lined with steel and memory. The metallic tang of ionized air mingled with the acrid smell of heated circuitry, each step echoing his determination. For years, he had carried the burden of past failures, the mission that cost countless lives and left scars too deep to hide. Tonight, that burden transformed into unyielding resolve. In a vast hangar cavern, enormous dreadnoughts lay dormant, cloaked in shadow and secrecy. Their sleek, angular forms, forged from experimental alloys and advanced stealth technology, promised a power unseen by the galaxy for centuries. As the final activation sequence commenced, a symphony of mechanical roars and cascading lights burst into life. Panels lit up one by one, their digital readouts pulsing with life and purpose, as if the ships themselves were awakening from a long, tormented slumber. Admiral Blackwell, his face etched with years of hardened experience and haunted memories, surveyed the emerging fleet through a panoramic holodisplay. Every detail was captured, the brilliant blaze of propulsion systems, the subtle hum of energy shields, and the deliberate cadence of commands transmitted over secure channels. His voice, low and resolute, resonated with a mix of determination and raw emotion. Today, we reclaim what was lost. No longer shall we cower in the shadows of our past. Let our might speak for the countless souls who have suffered. Nearby, Lieutenant Mara Reyes, a rising tactician with eyes that reflected both youthful brilliance and deep-seated resolve, adjusted her controls in the command module. The steady beeping of consoles and the rhythmic vibrations of reactivated engines created a sensory tapestry of hope and impending action. Mara's fingers flew over the interface, her mind racing with calculations and strategic visions. Torn between loyalty to her superiors and the moral weight of their cause, she silently vowed that this night would mark the turning point, a moment when humanity, underestimated and oppressed, would rise to shatter the Empire's unyielding arrogance. Outside the hidden base, the cosmos stretched in endless, stardusted darkness, unaware of the brewing storm. As the dreadnoughts propelled upward, leaving behind the dusty confines of their secret refuge, the first signals of alarm rippled through the Imperial fleet. In that moment, the galaxy would come to witness a colossal reversal of fate, a hidden force, long suppressed and filled with the pain of a forgotten past, now rising with an unbreakable will to reshape history. The stage was set. With hearts ablaze and engines roaring, the human dreadnoughts surged forward into the abyss, carrying the promise of a new era. Every flash of light and every resounding explosion heralded a simple, unstoppable truth. Humanity would no longer be underestimated, and the Empire's reign of invincibility was about to be crushed. The void of space erupted in a symphony of chaos as human dreadnoughts unleashed their devastating assault. In the cold darkness beyond the frontier, Emperor Valerius Draken's Imperial fleet, long revered as the backbone of his ironclad rule, suddenly found themselves caught in a maelstrom of destruction. Massive plasma torrents and pulsating energy pulses streaked across the vacuum, turning the orderly formation of Imperial warships into splintered fragments of burning metal. Captain Adrian Blackwell stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Oblivion, his eyes fixed on the holographic display that mapped the unfolding battle. The display pulsed with red alerts and erratic trajectories, each symbol representing a vessel succumbing to the overwhelming might of his fleet. His heart thundered not only with the adrenaline of combat but also with the weight of redemption. Every command he issued was laced with memories of past failures, a relentless drive to ensure that the sacrifices of the exiled would not be in vain. The hum of reactivated engines and the rhythmic throb of the dreadnought's power cores formed a relentless, driving beat as they advanced like titanic shadows. Lieutenant Mara Reyes, seated at a console bristling with data streams, expertly monitored enemy communications and shield fluctuations. Her sharp, focused eyes tracked every burst of enemy fire, every flicker of faltering energy. Target formation at Grid 7, she instructed in a clear, controlled tone, her fingers dancing over the interface with precision. Divert auxiliary power to disrupt their communication arrays. We're breaking their cohesion. Her tactical brilliance was evident in every calculated move, as she synchronized multiple strikes that splintered the Imperial lines. In the midst of the furious onslaught, the Imperial fleet's once unified command structure began to unravel. Emperor Draken's pride, once as unyielding as the steel of his flagship, now faltered in the face of the human onslaught. Across the interstellar expanse, Imperial ships that had maintained rigid formation now wavered and broke apart under the combined assault of disruptive electronic warfare and the sheer destructive force of the Dreadnoughts. Explosions illuminated the darkness like violent supernovae, scattering debris in every direction. The chaotic ballet of shattered vessels and spiraling energy echoes the Empire's faltering grip on power. On the bridge of oblivion, Admiral Blackwell's voice cut through the din of alarm and static, resolute and unwavering. "Steady, everyone. Let our fury be their reckoning. Every shattered hull, every flickering spark is a testament that we will not be underestimated again." His words resonated with the hardened crew, each member aware that this battle was not just a military victory, it was the reclaiming of dignity for all who had suffered under Imperial tyranny. Outside, as the human dreadnoughts pressed their advantage, the remnants of the Imperial Armada attempted desperate evasive maneuvers. The metallic scent of scorched circuitry in the eerie silence following each explosive impact blended into a tableau of ruin, a visual chronicle of a regime now reeling in shock. The overwhelming power of the dreadnoughts was not merely physical, it was a revelation, a declaration that the Empire's legacy of invincibility was crumbling beneath the weight of human ingenuity and resolve. In every flash of energy, every cascade of debris, the universe bore witness to a monumental turning point. The human dreadnoughts, fueled by years of hidden perseverance and the painful lessons of history, were writing a new chapter in galactic conflict. As the battle raged on, the dark void vibrated with the sound of hope rising from despair, a hope that promised not only the fall of a mighty empire but also the dawn of an era where the oppressed would stand tall and redefine their destiny. In the dim glow of a secure briefing room beneath the oblivion, the atmosphere was heavy with the weight of forgotten battles. The room's walls, adorned with aged schematics and holographic displays of star charts, seemed to breathe with memories of a time when humanity fought tooth and nail for survival. Captain Adrian Blackwell and his senior officers gathered around a central console, their faces lit by the shifting luminescence of classified records and archival footage. A low hum of ancient databanks rebooting filled the air as a towering holographic display sprang to life. Flickering images danced across the translucent screen, glimpses of fierce dogfights among colossal warships, desperate last stands in the void of space, and the anguished expressions of soldiers whose sacrifice had once tipped the scales of fate. Each image was a shard of a shattered past, pieced together to reveal the hidden origins of the Dreadnought project. Blackwell's eyes, dark and resolute, lingered on a particular sequence, a scene from a long-forgotten battle where the human fleet had been overwhelmed, forced to retreat into the deepest recesses of exile. His voice, gravelly with suppressed emotion, broke the silence. "We built these ships in the shadow of that day, the day we were nearly erased. Every sacrifice, every tear shed in that darkness, is etched into these blueprints." His tone was a blend of sorrow and steely determination, as if speaking directly to the ghosts of those lost. Lieutenant Mara Reyes stepped forward, her gaze fixed on the intricate schematics that detailed the experimental alloys and stealth technologies embedded in the Dreadnought's design. "These designs aren't just technical marvels," she said softly, her voice trembling with a mix of awe and regret. "They're the embodiment of our desperation and our defiance. Every curve, every line of code, was engineered to ensure we could never be underestimated again." Her eyes, reflecting both the brilliance of the hologram and a personal resolve born from past regrets, moved over the projections as if reading a sacred text. The holographic archive shifted, now revealing intercepted communications and classified mission logs. In the ghostly blue light, recorded voices from the past filled the room, soldiers recalling orders given in the chaos of battle, admiralty commands laced with both hope and dread. One voice, worn yet resolute, declared, "We had no choice but to hide our might, to keep it safe for the day when the Empire's arrogance would be our undoing." The words resonated deeply, each syllable a reminder of the bitter choices made in a time of utter desperation. As the footage played, Captain Blackwell's face tightened with memories. He recalled a mission, one that had cost the lives of many of his comrades, when the decision was made to conceal their remaining power. The plan had been born out of necessity. Revealing their full strength had risked igniting a war too brutal for a battered people to endure. Instead, they had opted for secrecy, a calculated gamble to preserve a spark of hope. Now, that secret had grown into a roaring inferno, ready to light the way to redemption. In the quiet moments between recorded memories, Blackwell and Mara exchanged long, meaningful glances. Their shared understanding of loss and the burning desire for revenge against an empire that had once oppressed them tightened the unspoken bond between them. Mara's eyes, usually so composed in the heat of battle, now glistened with unvoiced questions. "Do you ever wonder," she asked, voice barely a whisper, "if our hidden past will ever justify the future we're about to claim?" Her question hung in the charged air, mingling with the soft static of the ancient data streams. Blackwell's reply was measured, heavy with experience. "Our past is filled with shadows and mistakes, but it also gave birth to our resolve. Every secret, every sacrifice, has led us to this moment. We're not defined solely by our losses, but by our capacity to learn and to rise again." His words were both a balm and a rallying cry, a reminder that even in the depths of despair, there lay the potential for rebirth. The hologram then shifted to display the architectural marvel of the Dreadnoughts themselves. Every detail of the colossal warships was illuminated in precise detail: the reinforced hulls, the adaptive energy shields, the stealth systems cloaked in layers of advanced technology. The imagery was breathtaking, an awe-inspiring juxtaposition of human ingenuity and the relentless drive to survive. "These ships," Blackwell declared, "are our promise to the galaxy. They carry not just metal and circuitry, but the indomitable spirit of our people. They are our second chance, a chance to turn the tide and remind the Empire that our will is unbreakable." As the briefing room filled with the soft hum of activated systems and the fading echoes of recorded battle cries, the room itself became a shrine to resilience. Every faded photograph, every meticulously preserved record, was a testament to the struggle and the hope that had driven humanity into hiding. The darkness of that forgotten war had forged a light so fierce that it was destined to illuminate the future, a future where no empire, no matter how vast, could silence the voices of those who had dared to fight. In that profound moment of reflection, as the holographic images slowly dissolved into the background, the gravity of their mission settled upon the gathered officers. The secrets of the past, long shrouded in sorrow and sacrifice, were now their guiding beacon, a reminder that the path to redemption was paved with both regret and resolute determination. Captain Blackwell's final words echoed in the quiet room. "Let us honor our fallen by reclaiming our legacy. Today, we transform our sorrow into the strength that will shatter the chains of tyranny forever." And so, in that room filled with the silent testimony of battles past, the seeds of a powerful resurgence were sown, each memory a stepping stone toward a future where humanity would rise again, stronger and unyielding. In the opulent corridors of the Galactic Empire's flagship, the atmosphere turned electric with impending dread. Emperor Valerius Draken's iron-fisted command center, once a sanctuary of unchallenged authority, now pulsed with a frantic urgency. The shimmering display screens, normally brimming with precise tactical data, now flickered with red alerts and erratic trajectories as the remnants of the Imperial fleet struggled to regroup. Outside the panoramic viewport, a once orderly armada disintegrated into chaotic fragments, the brilliant trails of disrupted energy arcs marking the Empire's unraveling grip. Within the vast, darkened chamber, a sense of betrayal coiled around every officer. Commander Octavian Rourke, his uniform impeccably tailored yet his eyes shadowed with hidden doubts, paced before an array of holographic maps. His fingers traced the outlines of fleet formations that now resembled broken glass, each shutter of the display a stark reminder of the unexpected human assault. "Our enemies have turned our confidence into our downfall," he muttered, his voice heavy with a mix of anger and disbelief. The proud, relentless force of the Empire was now confronted with a vulnerability that threatened to expose its deepest hubris. In another corner of the command center, a subordinate officer's trembling voice pierced the din. "Sir, the Dreadnoughts, our attackers, they've activated a weapon system unlike anything on record. Our shields are faltering. Our communications are scrambled." The words echoed in the cold, metallic air, each syllable a harbinger of impending collapse. Draken, seated on a towering, ornate throne of dark metal and ancient insignia, listened with a barely concealed scowl. His eyes, normally burning with the fierce pride of an unyielding ruler, now flickered with the first seeds of uncertainty. Amid the escalating chaos, the Emperor summoned his most loyal generals to a hastily convened council. The room, draped in deep crimson and lit by the eerie glow of starlight filtering through vast observation windows, became a crucible of heated debate. "We must strike back immediately," bellowed General Severin, his voice booming with the authority of a man who had never known defeat. "These humans have exposed a chink in our armor, and we will crush them before our empire's name is tarnished further." His words were met with fervent nods from some, while others exchanged troubled glances, aware that their enemy's tactics were unlike anything the Empire had encountered. In the midst of this internal strife, Commander Rourke's face darkened as he considered his own secret doubts. In private moments, away from the prying eyes of the Council, he had begun to question the cost of the Empire's relentless aggression. Now, as the Empire scrambled to marshal its forces against the unexpected assault, Rourke's inner conflict deepened. He remembered the quiet moments when he had witnessed the quiet humanity of his adversaries, and the realization that perhaps the Empire's overconfidence had blinded them to a truth too glaring to ignore. As the Imperial fleet attempted desperate countermeasures, a hidden prototype weapon derived from ancient, nearly forgotten technologies was activated. The atmosphere grew even more volatile. The prototype's energy beam, a searing lance of raw power, struck the enemy dreadnoughts with devastating precision. Yet, rather than turning the tide, the counterattack only deepened the chaos. The beam's power fluctuated unpredictably, leaving behind trails of scorched space and sparking a cascade of system failures among both fleets. The command center's cacophony reached a fever pitch. Draken's eyes, now narrowed into slits of burning fury, swept over the panels as he issued orders with a desperate intensity. Lock down all systems. Rally the remaining forces. We will not be undone by mere rebels. His voice, echoing off the cold, unyielding walls of the chamber, carried the weight of centuries of empire, but now it was tinged with desperation. In that crucible of conflict, the true cost of imperial hubris became clear. The human dreadnoughts, built in secrecy and powered by the indomitable will of those who had been long oppressed, were not only breaking through the physical barriers of the Empire's defenses but were also shattering its proud illusions. Every exploding vessel and every flickering display on the holographic maps was a blow to the Empire's self-assured narrative, a narrative that had long dismissed humanity as insignificant. Outside, amid the swirling chaos of interstellar combat, the remnants of the Imperial fleet scrambled to regain their composure. The starry void bore silent witness to the Empire's faltering steps, a once mighty armada now trembling like a colossus on the brink of collapse. And in the echo of shattered pride, as Imperial officers struggled to stem the tide of their disintegrating command, the seeds of transformation were sown. The Empire, once invincible, was being forced to confront not only the might of its human adversaries but also the corrosive effects of its own unchecked arrogance. Thus, in that dark hour, as the Galactic Empire's fleet reeled under the crushing assault of human dreadnoughts, a profound truth emerged. True power was not in blind dominance but in the resilience to adapt, learn, and ultimately be reborn from the ashes of one's own hubris. A chill of dread crept through the corridors of the Oblivion as alarms began to pierce the hum of reactivated engines. In the depths of the human dreadnought's core, Commander Blackwell strode briskly toward the engineering bay, where the steady cadence of routine checks was suddenly replaced by frantic, discordant beeps. The once familiar glow of control panels now pulsed erratically with red alerts. Every step he took echoed with the weight of impending betrayal. Inside the cramped diagnostic chamber, Lieutenant Mara Reyes and her team huddled around a central holographic interface. The ambient blue light illuminated their tense faces as they sifted through streams of data. "Look at these fluctuations," Mara said, her voice a mix of alarm and analytical focus. "The adaptive shields aren't absorbing impacts as expected, they're sporadically dropping power levels during critical moments." Her eyes darted over encrypted logs and system feedback, each anomaly a potential clue. A pattern soon emerged from the chaos. The irregularities were too precise, too synchronized with certain attack vectors to be mere malfunctions. With steady hands, Mara initiated a deep diagnostic scan. As the system parsed terabytes of operational data, a series of encrypted subroutines began to reveal themselves. The screen flashed covert commands embedded deep within the Dreadnought software, commands that appeared to deliberately lower shield thresholds during combat simulations. Commander Blackwell arrived just as the scan completed, his expression grim and resolute. "Report," he demanded, his voice low but unyielding. Mara tapped a sequence of commands, and a cascade of intercepted messages unfolded on the display. The communications were terse, laden with code words and an unsettling familiarity that hinted at internal tampering. "It's sabotage," she whispered. "Someone's been manipulating our systems from within, deliberately weakening our defenses at critical moments." The room fell silent, save for the soft hum of processors and the distant, rhythmic thump of the Dreadnought's engines. Blackwell's eyes narrowed as he absorbed the data, a series of time-stamped commands that coincided with the initial assault on the Imperial fleet. "This isn't random. These codes were planted deliberately, designed to ensure our vulnerabilities were exposed when we needed our full strength most, he said, each word heavy with both anger and sorrow. As Mara continued to decode the messages, a stark revelation emerged. The encrypted commands bore the signature of a high-ranking insider. Blackwell recalled the names of those he trusted implicitly and those he had long suspected might harbor secret ambitions. The evidence pointed toward a conspiracy rooted deep within the Empire's own power structure. In intercepted communications, a cold, emotionless voice had declared, "We must ensure that humanity's resurgence is discredited, that our adversaries never gain their promised might." The message was chilling, a calculated act of betrayal meant to sabotage the very vessel that had been humanity's beacon of hope. Blackwell's jaw tightened as he recalled the sacrifices that had led to this moment, the long years of exile, the lost battles, and the personal demons that had haunted him since the fateful day his command was nearly obliterated. "They wanted to weaken us from the inside," he said, his voice cracking with barely contained fury. "They're trying to paint us as reckless aggressors, unworthy of the power we've painstakingly built." Outside the diagnostic chamber, the controlled chaos of the Dreadnoughts operations continued unabated. The crew, now aware of the internal betrayal, worked with renewed urgency. Mara's fingers flew over the console as she coordinated a series of emergency protocols designed to isolate and neutralize the rogue subroutines. "I'm redirecting all compromised channels to a secure backup," she announced, her tone focused and determined. "We'll purge these malicious codes and restore full operational integrity, if we can do it before the next engagement." Commander Blackwell gathered his senior officers in a secure conference room, where the cold light of holographic maps painted a vivid picture of both past battles and present vulnerabilities. The air was thick with tension and unspoken grief as he recounted the evidence. "Our ship has been compromised from within," he explained. "This sabotage isn't an act of chance, it's a calculated betrayal. And if we don't expose it now, it could spell our downfall in the coming battles." A murmur ran through the room. Among those present was a trusted aide who had long whispered doubts about the integrity of certain internal factions. "Sir," the aide ventured cautiously, "we've heard rumors that extremist elements within the Empire, those who've always been too eager for war, might be orchestrating these covert operations. Could it be that they're using our own technology against us?" Blackwell's eyes burned with a fierce, unspoken promise of retribution. "I intend to find out," he declared. "We will trace these codes back to their source and expose this treachery for all to see. Our people, our legacy, it deserves nothing less." As the meeting concluded, Lieutenant Mara Reyes rejoined Blackwell on the bridge. Together, they watched as the secure backup protocols took effect, the holographic display gradually clearing of the sabotage's dark markers. The ship's adaptive shields began to stabilize, their rhythmic pulse returning to a steady beat. "We're fighting not just the enemy out there," Mara said softly, "but the betrayal within. Tonight, we purge the darkness from our systems and reclaim our rightful power." In that defining moment, as the Oblivion braced for the next phase of combat, the true enemy emerged, not only the Imperial Armada that sought to crush them, but the insidious traitors hidden within the ranks of power. The revelation of sabotage had rocked their foundation, but it also ignited a burning resolve to root out corruption and fight for redemption. The crew, their faces set in determined lines and eyes blazing with purpose, rallied around their commander. Every keystroke, every synchronized repair, became a vow, a promise that humanity would not be undone by treachery from within. As the Dreadnought prepared to launch into the next battle, a renewed sense of unity and resilience spread through its halls. In the echoes of that sabotage, the spark of rebellion and the call for redemption grew ever brighter, setting the stage for the hidden alliances and final confrontations yet to come. In the quiet, shadowed corridors of the Imperial flagship, a secret revolution was taking shape. Away from prying censors and the relentless scrutiny of Emperor Draken's loyalists, a hidden conclave of disillusioned officers gathered in a nondescript conference chamber. The walls, lined with dim, shifting holographic displays and encrypted message boards, seemed to murmur with the voices of those who had long harbored doubts about the Empire's ruthless methods. Lieutenant Octavian Rourke, once a proud commander of the Empire's elite fleet, sat at the head of a sleek, metallic table. His normally impeccable uniform now bore subtle signs of wear, mirroring the internal fractures that had haunted him for months. He leaned forward, his voice low and resonant. "We have seen our empire crumble under the assault of these human dreadnoughts. The extremist advisors who manipulated our intelligence and fanned the flames of our aggression are driving us to ruin. It's time we choose a different path." His eyes, dark and determined, scanned the faces around him. Officers whose expressions betrayed equal parts resolve and sorrow, as if burdened by the sins of their past. In a nearby secure communications bay aboard the human dreadnought Oblivion, Lieutenant Mara Reyes worked feverishly at an advanced interface. With her nimble fingers dancing over translucent touchscreens, she established an encrypted channel that reached deep into the heart of the Empire's command network, a lifeline to those ready to turn against their tyrannical masters. Her pulse quickened as the screen began to fill with data, clandestine messages from Imperial defectors, coded in a language that blended ancient ceremonial tones with modern cryptography. A voice, soft yet resolute, emerged through the channel. "This is Commander Rourke," it declared, its timbre heavy with regret and hope. "I have gathered several of my colleagues who refuse to serve a regime built on hubris and bloodshed. We seek an alliance, a chance to stand with you, to rebuild a galaxy that values honor over tyranny." Mara's heart pounded with a mixture of relief and cautious optimism as she responded, "Your courage inspires us. We will coordinate our efforts, and together, we can expose the corruption festering within the Empire." Meanwhile, in a hidden alcove within the Imperial Fleet's command center, high-ranking officers convened in hushed tones. Illuminated by the flickering light of discrete holographic maps showing both enemy and defecting ship trajectories, they exchanged encrypted messages. A senior officer from the Orion sector, his voice laden with centuries of wisdom, stated, "Our people have suffered under endless wars orchestrated by those who care only for power. Let us be the architects of a new order, a federation of voices that spans beyond imperial dogma." His words echoed like a quiet revolution through the narrow passageways, stirring a palpable shift in the hearts of those present. Back aboard Oblivion, Captain Blackwell, though burdened by the revelations of sabotage, recognized the immense opportunity that now lay before them. With the imperial hierarchy fracturing from within, the human dreadnoughts were not fighting an invincible enemy but a regime on the brink of collapse. Blackwell's voice, measured and unwavering, resonated over the secure channel. "Every alliance we forge, every defector who joins our cause, reinforces our hope for a better tomorrow. We are not here to conquer for conquest's sake. We are here to reclaim our honor and build a future where truth and unity prevail." As the clandestine communications continued, Lieutenant Reyes compiled the intelligence into a strategic blueprint, a detailed map of the defectors' positions, potential meeting points, and safe corridors for further cooperation. Every piece of data, every whispered word of rebellion, was meticulously logged. The soft beeps of the console mingled with the distant, rhythmic hum of the dreadnought's engines, as if the ship itself was awakening to a new purpose. In the dim glow of this covert alliance, the seeds of transformation began to sprout. Imperial defectors, united by their shared disillusionment and a yearning for redemption, reached out with measured optimism to the human fleet. Their messages, imbued with the bittersweet memories of a once proud order now tarnished by corruption, became a beacon of hope. They spoke of a future where the oppressive chains of old could be shattered, and where the strength of many voices, human and alien alike, would forge a path toward genuine peace and reform. Outside, the vast darkness of space remained indifferent yet full of potential. Stars glittered like distant promises, and nebulae swirled in silent majesty. It was in this infinite expanse that hidden alliances were quietly binding together, a testament to the transformative power of unity born in secrecy. As the human dreadnoughts prepared for the next phase of battle, they did so not only with formidable firepower but with a newfound conviction that within the heart of an empire built on fear, the courage to change could ignite a revolution. Thus, in that chamber of whispered conspiracies and hopeful resistance, the human and defector forces laid the groundwork for a new order. Every encrypted message, every shared secret, wove together the promise of a future where the true enemy was not a single tyrant, but a system willing to betray its own people. And with that, the path to redemption and renewal, fragile yet unyielding, began to take shape in the silent depths of space. The void near a blazing star system pulsed with an almost palpable intensity as the stage was set for the final, cataclysmic showdown. Human dreadnoughts, their massive hulls gleaming with battle scars and determination, formed a resolute battle line against the dwindling forces of the Galactic Empire. In the midst of swirling plasma and chaotic energy blasts, Captain Adrian Blackwell stood at the helm of the flagship Oblivion, his gaze fixed on the enemy formation with an unwavering mix of resolve and raw emotion. Outside the command deck, the cosmos itself seemed to tremble with the impact of the conflict. Nebulae roiled in tumultuous colors as if echoing the chaos of battle, while a searing star cast a relentless glare upon the combatants below. The Imperial fleet, already fractured by internal dissent and the revelation of sabotage, staggered under the relentless onslaught of human firepower. Explosions painted violent streaks across the darkness, each detonation a defiant blow against an empire once thought invincible. In the heart of this maelstrom, Emperor Valerius Dracon's flagship emerged as a crumbling bastion of the old order. Its once proud silhouette now flickered with failing shield arrays and erratic energy readings. From the cockpit of Oblivion, Blackwell's voice rang out, steady and resolute. "This is our moment. Every sacrifice, every scar we bear, has led us to this final stand. Let our fury shatter their arrogance and forge a new destiny." Across the battlefield, the Imperial commander, a figure whose face, marred by both age and hubris, was etched with lines of defeat, issued frantic orders. But his voice, drowned by the roar of colliding forces, was but a desperate whisper in the face of overwhelming human resolve. As the two fleets collided, the clash became a symphony of technological brilliance and raw emotion. Plasma cannons roared and energy missiles arced like brilliant comets, each impact sending ripples of power through the vacuum of space. Amid the chaotic skirmish, a personal duel began to take shape that would symbolize the ideological chasm between the old and the new. Captain Blackwell, fueled by years of haunted memories and a burning need for redemption, locked onto a transmission from Emperor Dracon himself. In a secure channel, Dracon's voice, once a booming declaration of imperial supremacy, now trembled with a mix of fury and fear. "You dare challenge the Eternal Order?" he spat. Blackwell's retort was as cold as the void. "Your order is built on arrogance and neglect. Today, we break your chains and reclaim our future." With that, Oblivion surged forward, its dreadnought engines roaring like a force of nature. In a breathtaking moment, Blackwell's flagship launched a coordinated barrage, every shot aimed to shatter the weak points in the enemy vessel's shield, a calculated move born of years of suffering and a determination to rewrite destiny. Lieutenant Mara Reyes, orchestrating the battle's intricate dance from her station, monitored the shifting alignments of both fleets with razor-sharp precision. Her tactical directives were transmitted with unwavering clarity. Focus on the central core of the Imperial flagship. Disable its energy nexus, and the rest will follow. As human dreadnoughts concentrated their fire, the Imperial vessel convulsed under the onslaught, its adaptive systems flickering desperately. In that moment, the tide of battle swayed, human ingenuity and unity outmatched Imperial overconfidence. Elsewhere in the chaos, Commander Octavian Rourke, whose secret defection had set the stage for this pivotal confrontation, led a small squadron of former Imperial ships now fighting alongside the humans. His defiant gaze, brimming with both regret and resolve, met that of his old comrades as he coordinated strike after strike against the remaining Loyalist forces. "For too long, we have served a corrupt order," he declared over the comlink. "Now, we stand with those who dare to dream of a just galaxy. Let our actions today be the fall of tyranny." The final moments of the battle unfolded in a crescendo of light and sound. In a decisive volley, Oblivion and its allied dreadnoughts unleashed a massive array of energy missiles that converged upon the Imperial flagship's core. Time seemed to stretch as the missiles raced through the void, each carrying the hopes of a people long oppressed. With a cataclysmic impact that sent a shockwave rippling across the battlefield, the Imperial vessel's energy nexus exploded in a burst of incandescent fury, effectively crippling the once mighty fleet. As the star system fell into a tentative calm, the shattered remnants of the Imperial Armada drifted like broken dreams in the cosmic silence. Captain Blackwell, his face illuminated by the soft glow of damaged consoles and distant stars, allowed himself a moment of quiet triumph and sorrow. His voice, though heavy with the weight of loss, carried a promise for the future. "We have struck a blow against oppression today. Let this be the turning point that ushers in a new era of hope and unity." In the wake of this final confrontation, the echoes of battle slowly gave way to a dawning realization across the galaxy that even the mightiest empires could be humbled by the unyielding spirit of those determined to reclaim their dignity. The human dreadnoughts, once hidden in the shadows of exile, now shone as beacons of resilience, a testament to the enduring power of hope over tyranny. In the aftermath of the cataclysmic battle, the cosmos itself seemed to exhale a long-held breath. The remnants of the shattered Imperial fleet drifted silently in the darkness, their once mighty forms now reduced to drifting fragments of metal and lost ambition. Against this somber backdrop, a new vision for the galaxy began to crystallize, a future not defined by tyranny and oppression, but by the promise of unity and renewal. Aboard the flagship Oblivion, Captain Adrian Blackwell stood on the observation deck, gazing out at a starfield that glowed with the gentle light of distant suns. The silence here was profound, filled with the echoes of conflict and the whispered hopes of a people determined to rebuild. Around him, his crew moved with a mixture of cautious optimism and quiet resolve. Every scar on the ship's battle-worn hull bore testimony to the price of freedom, each one a solemn reminder of the lives lost to dark ambitions. Yet, in that raw, unyielding damage, there lay the seeds of transformation. Down in the command center, Lieutenant Mara Reyes and her team were busy compiling the day's hard-won intelligence. Screens flickered with data, coordinates for salvage operations, plans for repairing critical systems, and proposals for a new defense framework built on cooperation between former foes. "Our next step is clear," Mara declared, her voice steady as she tapped out a series of commands. "We reconfigure our systems to integrate the technology of both our dreadnoughts and the defected Imperial vessels. Together, we can create a defense network that reflects our unity and shared strength." Her words, precise and inspiring, resonated deeply with everyone listening. Meanwhile, in the heart of the reformed Galactic Senate, the atmosphere had shifted from turmoil to tentative hope. Delegates from countless species gathered in a vast, luminescent chamber, a space where ancient stone met futuristic design, symbolizing the melding of old traditions with new ideas. The chamber's walls, etched with interstellar histories, now bore the fresh marks of renewal. Holographic projections of the fallen Imperial fleet, followed by bold, visionary designs for a future alliance. At the podium, Senator Elena Voss, her eyes alight with determined compassion, addressed the assembly. "Today, we cast aside the shadows of our past," she declared, her voice resonant in the vaulted hall. "Let our actions forge a future where power is shared, where every voice is heard, and where the light of unity outshines the darkness of oppression." Ambassador Tsara stepped forward alongside her, her calm presence a stabilizing force amidst the remnants of chaos. "The signing of the Covenant of Stars," she announced, gesturing toward a radiant, suspended hologram displaying the treaty's emblem, a brilliant fusion of human and alien symbols, marks the beginning of a new era. "No longer will our differences divide us. We shall stand together, united by a commitment to peace, transparency, and mutual respect." Her words, delivered with quiet dignity, sparked murmurs of approval that rippled through the chamber. Outside the Senate, the Allied fleet began its methodical journey back toward the liberated sectors of the galaxy. Human dreadnoughts, now augmented with defected Imperial technology, glided through the void like colossal guardians of hope. In the soft luminescence of distant nebulae, each vessel's silhouette told a story of resilience, a story of lives reclaimed from the wreckage of war. Crews, a diverse blend of battle-hardened veterans and hopeful new recruits, worked tirelessly at repair stations and in reactivation bays, their determined efforts the beating heart of a united future. In a quiet moment on the Oblivion's observation deck, Captain Blackwell allowed himself a rare, reflective pause. He recalled the searing pain of past losses, the bitter taste of defeat, and the fiery spark of defiance that had driven humanity from exile. As he watched the stars twinkle like distant promises, his voice, soft and filled with unspoken resolve, whispered to the vastness, "We are not defined by our battles or our scars, but by our capacity to rebuild, to forgive, and to forge a future where every soul can thrive." In that simple yet profound statement, the weight of history and the promise of tomorrow merged into one luminous vision. The final scenes unfolded as the Galactic Senate ratified the Covenant of Stars, binding countless species in an unprecedented pact of collaboration. In ceremonial splendor, human and alien dignitaries gathered in the Grand Hall, their hands joined in solidarity as they vowed to usher in an age of transparency and shared progress. The once terrifying dreadnoughts were reimagined as symbols of resilience, monuments to the enduring human spirit and the power of unity in the face of overwhelming odds. As the Allied fleet sailed onward into the star-dusted horizon, the cosmos bore witness to this transformative moment. A new galactic order was emerging, one built not on the ruins of conquest, but on the promise of redemption, cooperation, and an unwavering commitment to a better tomorrow. The silence of space, vast and eternal, now echoed with the promise of hope, and every star seemed to whisper that from the ashes of oppression, a brilliant, inclusive future was being born.